All right, so this is what we're going to use to practice our flex. They're like that. And if we are looking at this design, everything you need here is just to lay out the content. There is just flex. So you don't need more than flex to lay out the content that we have here. So looking at this, we have the body, which is the entire page. So inside the body, if you look at it, the content are not really touching the edge when you get to a bigger screen. So which means it's being limited. But you cannot do it on the body, because if you do it on the body, as you can see, there's a background there. It means the background too will stop at this place. So in order for the background to be on the body and not getting cut out at this side, so we need to create another container here like that. So this container is the one that we're now going to be limiting. Assuming there is no background now, you can use, but you don't even use, but body should always cover up the entire screen. So when you now need a specific box, then you use all your grouping element like the div, the section, the main, and so forth like that. So use them to group. So inside this container here, we have the left section side, and at the same time we have the form area like that. So inside this left section too, as you can see, we have the heading text, which is our h1. Then from there you have the paragraph like that. And apart from that one too, you now have another container. Because why? Because they are side by side, and then they are not getting affected by what is at the top like that. So what will be there is that this one, it's going to be a container then, and this is how you lay out your content. Not that the CSS will arrange it for you. You be the one, look at it. You might, if I've, assuming I want to do it now, all this line I'm not going to draw it. It's going to happen from my head, but because we are learning the stuff right now, so that's why it's. But this is what you are going to be doing in your head, but you now be writing the code to represent the layer. The same thing here too, like that. If you look at it, you have the form. So you have this form section inside the box, and apart from that one, you have another container here entirely like that. So this is another container entirely in this way. And again, if you want, you can put them in a separate element, then you use your flex to move them to center. But inside this place too, as you can see, this box is a group on their own too, so that you'll be able to control that area without touching any other one. So, but you see the pattern here is the same pattern here, so you can use the same class on them like that. So again, too, this is another one on its own. Then you have all these content. So this is what you do, but from your HTML, because HTML is very important. If your HTML is not arranged properly because of the rules of Flex, nothing will work. Because if you don't arrange them correctly the way it's supposed to be arranged, then it's not going to work at all. So this is the layout we need to have like that. So what we just need to do here is to generate the page, generate it. Oh, what's wrong with VS Code? Oh, go back to where I'm supposed to be. So this is going to be flex example like that. So we already have the body, so I'm going to have the main. The main is the one that is going to represent the container outside there as a group. If you want, you can use div, but I'm using main because it's the main content on the page. But inside it, we now have the section. So this section, I'm going to call it the left there like that. And at the same time, we're going to have, all in a more meaningful sense, we have the form container like this. And this time we're going to have the text or welcome container like that. What am I typing? So inside this welcome container, as you can see, we have all this one, which is going to, so we're going to have our H1. So we have these welcome back like that. And after this one, we have the paragraph, which I'm going to use Lauren 35 like that to just generate some random text for that particular part. Then from there, you now have all the social. So this one too, we're going to have the, so yeah, I'm going to give it a class social. Then inside this place, that's where you put all those social icons. You can get them online and do others, but I'm just going to use their normal text. But it's the same thing. Instead of link, then it's going to be image, then you include their icon there. But that's not the major thing here. The major thing is our layout. And I think that's all for this part. So the other one is the form area there. So if you look under the form area too, we have this container. Then inside the container, you have the form, and then you have this footer section for that side in case you want to use that to group it. You can use your div and so forth like that. So yeah, let me see. So at the top, if I want, I can separate this one, then move out this one, but I'm just going to put everything inside form like that. So I don't need this one at all. So inside my form, I'm going to have H2 because that's not the major heading. The major heading is this. So I'm going to be using H2. So it's going to be sign in like that. Then after that, I'm going to have the div, which is going to be form control group like that. So you can name it anything you want. But it's always good that you use a name that is described based on the class. When you're checking CSS, based on that class, you already know where that stuff is doing. But nothing is stopping you from using X, Y, A, B, C. But when you come back to it later on, when you now want to be reading your code, why did I name this in here? Why did that's what you be doing first? You even forget about because you be tracking the naming instead of you looking at the stuff. That's why you always see people using correspondence name like that. So that when you come back later on, it will not look somehow. At the time you are doing it, you know everything. But after you left the store and come back maybe like 1 week or 2 week or 3 week or 4 months or so, you start looking at what am I doing here? Am I the one that do all this thing? So from there we have label. So at the top we're going to have a label. We're just following everything that we've talked about. So what the label for the email. So we have the email like that, which is going to be email address. And we're going to have the input. The input is going to be type of email. The ID is going to be email. Does it have placeholder? No placeholder, so it's just empty box. So we leave it like that. Again, the same thing we did there. We just copy and paste downward like this, then change the stuff to password. Is moving from window and see now control search. Shoot. Okay, complete this for me. All right, we have this type password. Then after that, we have another one, which I'm going to use label for. So label, this one is going to be agreed. So that's what I want to call it. So inside this side, I'm going to have this. What did they put yet? Remember me, not agreed. So remember me like that, update the stuff in that way, then save, go to the page from there. So we have this local host 5500 CSS flex example. If I still remember, what was that? Example, is that the name? Yeah, so that's not the name. Flex example. Yes, that's it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so flex example, and as you can see, we have this form. So the other thing we need to add, we've not had the sign now. So after this, we need a button, which is going to be sign in now, like that. Then after that, we have lost password. So that one is a link that you click on so that it will take you to the stuff. So from there, what we just need to do is because everything is inside, lost your password. So this is going to be lost your password. So once you click it, it takes you to the link, but we don't care about that because that's not what we are focusing on. Yeah, so everything is done inside the form. So this one, if I want, I can place this one inside the form. But if you look at the spacing in between all this one, it's not the same spacing as this side. So that's the reason why I want to put it outside of the form so that from the container itself, this form container now is one that will space the form from the one at the top, while this one will now space everything that is inside it. So that's the arrangement. But if you want, you can actually put all of them inside form. But what you have to do is that means you have to create section for this. You now create section for that one too. But anything related to form should always be inside form. So yeah, we are going to have what do we have there? So we have two things inside it, or you can even think it as one item. But to me, this one is always down. So it's not because by when you put them as normal text, it means it can wrap to next line or to the other line if there is spacing. But since I always want it to be like this, so what I will just do here is going to I'm not going to use it. So we have something for that that you can use. So we have footer element, which is normally used to represent the footer part of a specific area like that. So you can use div and give a class, but I'm using footer. So inside this footer, I have this p, which is having that by uh, let me just put lorem 10 like this. Lorem 10 to just put some dummy text like that. Then after this, I have this p again in that way. And if you look at the p, there are two links there because this thing is telling that they are links. This is the first a, and this is the second a like that. So inside this place, I'm going to have so I'm going to have this, but there is pipe in between them. So save like that. By default, A, they are in line. So I know that they are going to come side by side automatically like that. So save, and then I go to the page, and as you can see, it will put them. But now we need to make sure that everything is looking like this. The first thing we need to do is to find our background that we're going to be using first. So we are going to use page um, background image like that. So search. It is something you can download or you find it. But late in the next class, all the design we're going to be working on, it's going to come from that folder that I talked about. I think I should have it here. So it's something I can copy for you now. And anytime you need, you just go to the file. So let me just find one image that is closely related to that. So, oh, I don't like this edge, the pink. Their search is just somehow. Don't really have. So, cuts like that. Google.com. So, pastes like that. Let me see. I don't want to go to this other site. Don't take me to another site. Is it network or what? Taking time to load. All right, so let me just copy this image, copy image link. Yeah, so I've gotten the image. So what do we need to do now? We need to link our page. So from there, I'm going to be using the link like that. So save and go to the page. So when you want to work on a page, there's some basic CSS resets that you need to do. So not like, as you can see, there's some spacing that this thing is using by default. So all those spacing, you remove them. So how do you do that setting? So we have the universal selector, which selects everything on the page. And what you need to do is to firstly turn off the padding, turn off the margin. So anywhere is doing all these unnecessary margin and padding, turn it off. Anywhere I need it, I will apply it myself like that. So another thing you need to do is the box sizing, which is what I've explained, to do the calculation, because when you're dealing with width and padding later or margin, you don't want them to create their own extra spacing. Everything should come together. So if you apply padding and margin on left and right, those values should be deducted from the one that is going to give to the content, not that it will create their own spacing. Again, too, if you want, you can always set your font family here, because the brother used to use this sans serif by default, this serif by default, but I don't like it, so I'm going to change font family. So use font family now, you can use it. So the one I want to use is this system UI. Where are you? Yeah, like that. So it will just use some font. So this one will always what you can see when you're on system or normal window or whatever stuff you're on your Apple, it will pick their default font that is set automatically like that. And again, too, if none of them, so it will always search for any one of these if you have them. Because the way it works is that the one it can find first, that's what it will use. But if you have your own customized font, then you are included. We are going to be doing that one later on, because not every time you use what is on the system, your design is using a specific font. So you have to use that font to know that you use what is on the system. So, and we are going to be doing all this one when we get to the design that requires it. So this is the basic stuff that we need to do there like that. So this is the basic stuff that we need to do. Then the next thing we need to do is the body. So there's some setting we need to do on the body too. I like that. One of the setting there is to make sure that no content is going out on the X axis like you, because it's bad to be scrolling left and right. So the scrolling you only see on pages up and down. You don't see people scrolling left and right. And that is why we have responsive design, because you want to make sure that the thing looks nice on that your device that you're using, because scrolling left and right you miss a lot of content you are not supposed to miss. So what we normally do here is that we used to give this thing to be height of 100%. So make sure that height is, I mean the width is 100% rather. So the minimum height should be 100 VH, because by default this your body is not actually down in that white area that I seen. It will stop where your content stops, so that when you have now applied some background later on, you see that it's not getting down. You don't let me even apply it yet, so that you can see all the reason why we normally do all these things like that. But the other one I'm going to leave it like that. So another one that used to be there is overflow X, not overflow. No, don't forget you can control X and Y. The Y, they should be able to scroll up and down, but we don't want them to be scrolling left and right, because that one is bad. So that's why overflow hidden. Anything that is trying to go outside on the X, just cut it out, because that means that thing is not part of the page at that moment like that. So again, what we're just doing is a background image, because we need to apply our image that I just copied it. So the URL, and what do I need to do? Just paste the URL, but I always love to put this in a quote like that. So save, go to the page, and as you can see, we have the stuff. But you know, this is not the way we want our background to be. It's supposed to be one and covers everything. So what we just need to do here is to use background size, which is going to be cover. Background position is going to be center, so that it's expand from the center. The other one that we need to use is background repeat, no repeat at all. So save, and once we go to the page, can you see what I'm saying now? So your body is not actually getting down here. It's not actually here. So image, they don't get down here. They stop where your content stop. But assuming it's color, color will fill up the remaining space. So you need to make sure that the thing maintain the minimum height. So that's the reason why this setting is there. You can see it's minimum, we not say height, because when you say height, it means that's where it will stop. So minimum means that's your minimum. You can't go less than that, but you can go more than that, because if your content is really light, even though our content is not really light rather, but later on, if there is a page that have a lot of content, you should be able to scroll. Yeah, so as you can see now, it will make sure that this thing, but I don't want the image too to just be moving if in case this thing is moving. So we can use their background attachments like that, so which is going to be fixed. So which means in case this thing is moving, content is moving later on, the background is not going to follow us like that. What kind of a background is this? So another thing we need to do based on our design now. So if you look at the design, you see that on that page, all the text are white, right? All the text are white. So where's the design? So all the text, yeah. So as you can see, all the text are white. So one way of doing it is just by coming here and say color is white. Don't forget, when we are talking about this thing, some of this property, they takes the way some of this property work is that when you apply the property on their parents and you do not apply it on them, they will pick from the parent. Yeah. So most of the property, when you apply most of the property, so they are being inherited from parents. We call it inherit. And you can even go to any element and tell the element to inherit property from its parent. For example, here, I can just say go to the page, look for box. So the color or the background color is going to be inherit. What you are saying is that the parent of this box, whatever is using as the background color, this one should just inherit and use the same value. But some of the value, some of this property, you don't need to mention inherit. They will inherit it automatically from the parent. And one of them is this color. So unless you change it on that element, whatever the parent is using, it will pick it up automatically. And as you can see, some of you can see that they are stubborn. Those one, they don't speak color because they have the browser is setting the color. So how do you do it for it like that? So if you want to do, you can do some setting for A by just saying A like this, then the color is going to be inherit. So what you're telling is that whatever is going to use, so as long as you do not change it on that A, just inherit whatever the parent is using automatically like that, because the browser sets color for it. So now we've replaced the stuff like that. Another thing is I think all of them have that underline. So sometimes you don't need an underline, you can do your global setting here and say text decoration none like that. But I think it's okay in that way. So what do we need to do now? So we are ready to move into the container that is holding them. And what do we name that one? So we name it main. But if you notice how I'm arranging all this thing, you see the way the content arranged on the screen, that's the same way you are going to be applying your CSS. So we started from the body, or we started from the global stuff, move to body, from the body we move to main. But you might be thinking, why did I put A here? Normally I supposed to put it at the top here, and this is what we call global setting. Any generic setting you want to do, they are going to happen at the top, so that later on in some places when you want to make changes, you now do those changes. Don't forget the way CSS work. The last one that is seen there is what is going to apply if they have the same specificity. And if the one you have done, most of the time the one you have done will always have higher specificity, so which means it will override the setting you have here. So any generic setting we use to place them at the top, then specific setting will always be down. And when you are reading your code, yeah, you always see that it matches the way you arrange your layout. Nobody is telling you to do it like that, but it's better you do it in that way. And that's the one you are, because the way you learn here is not just you are learning it for, oh, this how you have to learn how to use them properly, not just learning it alone. Because there's a difference between you know something and you know how to use it. They are two different stuff. Just like lecturer that can teach, but when they get to practical whatever stuff, that's not their own this thing, because that's not the way they are taught. Their own is, oh, they know the theory, they know that when you mix this and this is what is going to give you. But that doesn't mean they've tried it or they put it in a proper way. So, but here we are going to be doing things in a proper way like that. So this means what do we need to do? We need to display it as flex. Why? Because we want to put the content. Look at what just happened. And no, this is what I was telling you. When you have some of them that have long content, they will shift the other one anyhow. So that's where all those other value comes in, to make sure that they are now, they take half, not that you, because those one are, when we're doing simple exams, see that they looks like they are just taking, but now we've started getting to a big stuff where the content are not equal, or the one is bigger than the other one. So you start seeing some of these stuff coming out there. So you need to use all those properties together so that it works. So another thing we need to do is, I know the thing is not supposed to be touching the edge at all. So what we can do here is to do on small screen, you don't want them to, you want them to always expand anyhow. So it's still going to maintain 100%, but now the max weight is going to be maybe around that 670 pixels. So what we're saying is keep expanding anyhow you want. But once you get to a screen that is bigger than this is your maximum value. So once you go past a screen, that is it. So once you go to 671 like this, the box will never come. One, if you are less than 670, it will keep expanding to those value. But once your screen go past 670, then it will not go more than this. And as you can see, it has stopped. But you know, we need to distribute that spacing between left and right. There is different way of doing it, but for like this our design, what we just need to do is to display this one as flex, then we align it to center and we justify it to center, so that the body will move everything that is inside it to center. So you know, if there is space at the top and bottom, distribute it. That means move the content to center, because right now as you can see everything is staying at the top, but we still have enough space. And so that spacing now, distribute it by moving the content to center. So save now, as you can see, it will move because we give it 670. So the remaining space that is left, just distribute it. But it's not always possible that you will be displaying the parent as flex and you justify and align. So that's another way of moving this one to center. So assuming you are not doing it from the parent, which is something we need to do here, because this is the one we're supposed to use for this design, like that. So here you can always use margin auto. What this margin auto mean, it is going to do the same thing too. So whatever space that is left, just distribute that spacing around the stub equally, like that. As you can see, it distribute this one, but it did not distribute this one. Why? Because the container actually stop here. It did not actually, don't forget the container, it will maintain its original, so it's not here. So that's why, assuming it will give it the same height as this one, so it will, but this is just a waste of this thing. So what we can do is to do it directly from the parent. So the parent, you know, the parent already have all those spacing, then it will adjust automatically, like that. So how do we, what do we need to do now? We need to make sure that each one of them have 50-50% of that space that is inside the parent. So what do we need to do? We give them a class. We have the welcome container and we have the form container. Since I want to apply the same thing on both of them, I'm going to be using this also form container, then comma, then we have the welcome container like that. I did not send it to both party. So save this. So what this thing is doing is that because I want to apply the same setting to both of them. So instead of me going to this thing, just as if you type in this, put the property, go to another line, type the same thing again. Since they are having the same value, put it there, and as you can see, it's going to wait. Oh, did I put this in? So let me check. So that other value we need to use them now because it's because of this text that is really much. So we need to use these are the problem with this thing. So if you don't use some of these flex property correctly, so I have this, where is it? So I have this in this way. So this is welcome container. So you come here, you come and check. Did you see that star here? So you can see I did not see what I just apply now is not showing here. So which means something is wrong somewhere and I've seen it. Where is the problem is because of typo. Because after applying the stuff, I did not see it. So the next thing you need to do, come here, is he applying it? He did not apply it because the style, whatever you apply, it will show here. But if you look at it, it's only coming from universal selector that we apply. No other thing is coming from us. The other one is coming from the browser. So that means something is wrong with what you are using. It's either your selector is wrong or something is happening. And after checking here, I can see that I have this welcome instead of welcome. So remove this one, then save the stuff like that, and now we have the stuff. But they are two jam packed together. What we need to do is to force a space. And when you want to force a space, what you do is to use gap. So we have these two rem. So gap is going to force a space in between each item. So that you have there like that. If you need more spacing, because again, me, I'm not focusing on mobile right now, but later on, we are going to be talking about, can you see that it's not looking nice on mobile. So, but for now, we are only focusing on the desktop. When we complete grid, we are going to talk about how you can work on the mobile design, because here now, normally, I'm not supposed to be placing them side by side. I'm supposed to place them on top of each other. So flex direction is going to be column like this, so it will look nice like that on mobile. What's wrong with this? Is save now. Flex direction is going to be column. Oh, sorry, I put it at the wrong side. Save, and as you can see, these are supposed to look like on mobile. And if you want the form to come first, then that means we need to just reverse the stuff. We don't need to change your HTML. It's the CSS that will do the reversing like that, depending on which one you want to come first. Then when we now get to a big screen, so how do you now talk to this in when we get to big screen? I'll be talking about this in when we get to that class like that. So mean width is going to be 768 pixels. So once we get to this, from this screen and above now, the direction should change back to row. So as long as you are still below that screen, you will be placing them on top of each other. But also once you hit that screen, it will take them, because now you have enough space to put them side by side. But I will talk more about that stuff that I just used now once we get there. So I will not be focusing on the mobile at all like this. So I will just focus on the desktop for now, because that's what we have there. So what do we need to do next? What we need to do now is to start working on each container. We need to work on this container. The content, can you see that they are jam packed together? So we need to work on it. So we have the welcome container. Inside this welcome container too, we just display it as flex. But don't forget, it will put things side by side. But in the original design, they are not side by side. They are placed on top of each other. And as you can see, there is a gap in between them. So what we just need to do here is flex direction is going to be column. The gap too is going to be around that 2rm. But you're not going to be typing the value anyhow. You look at the design. Where the design is coming from is known as something called Figma. So from there, it will tell you all the spacing that are in between all these values. But because I've really worked with a lot of them, looking at it, you see desire on which value or the appropriate value are like that. So as you can see, I have this, which is really much. That should be around 1.5, which is 24 pixels, like that, which is going to leave that spacing. So inside the welcome, we have the H1 there, like that. So this is going to have font size maybe around that 3 rem, which is 48 pixels, which is going to look like that one. But if you look at something started happening here, now we look at something started happening, like that, they are aligned to the top. But let's just, again, we need to reduce this text because it's really too big. So welcome container, then the P, the font size by default is 1 rem, but it's too much, so I'm going to use 0.75, which is 12 pixels. So these are some of the common value you always, it started coming into shape, like that. So again, all this Facebook, whatever stuff, I'm going to do the same thing for them too. But before I do, they are inline already because of their content, not their inline element. But it's not only possible like that. So what I will just do is social, just do welcome, then social. It's not a must that you do, since we know that we're only using in one place. I don't need to start adding welcome, welcome. But you know, P is being used in other places. So that's what I'm saying, the P that is coming from welcome, because this is another P here too. But if I want them to always have the same style, so with the same style, I don't even need to do this. Copy everything, or because it's a generic setting, but it's applied to everywhere. Then move that generic setting up. That one, if it is a generic setting, so if you save it now, oh, something is wrong. Yeah, something is wrong. I did not close this in somewhere. Where did I cut this thing out? Oh, yeah. So save, and as you can see, all the P will have the same styling like that. If you always want them to have the same thing too. If you want A, so maybe all your A, so to have that same styling, because I don't want to type it here. So save now. You see that all of them, or instead of you doing it like this, instead of doing it like, just come to the body and just give it the same font size. So which means all the text by default, they are going to have that same 0 point whatever, but I don't want it to just change everything. So I only want to change a specific value. So what do we need to do next? I think we are done with this section. Let's just move to the form side like that. So as you can see, this text is center, but the other one are not center. So first, what do we need to do? So we have the form, or before the form itself, we have the form container. Form container. So this one we need to display it as a flex. Why do we need to display it as flex? Because we have form inside it, and we have this footer inside it. And as you can see that they are jam packed together. Look at it. There is spacing there. So this is the form, because that's what we did. We put everything. So going back into the page, you see that we have the form, then we have the footer. So we need to space them so we can quickly use this our flex, since we are learning flex. But you know, if you save it as this, by default it will always put them side by side. No, that's not what we want. So flex direction is going to be column, gap is going to be this 2 rem. You see that now the footer is down, then the form is up. The same thing too is what we need to do for the form, like that. So inside the form container we have form, so display as flex, flex direction, fxdc should be column like this. So save, you see that it looks as if nothing is changing, but something actually changed. Look at this button, you see that it now covered before the flex. So before the flex, you see that it may know it is inline, it is going to be inline. What's that? You can see everything is inline before, so they are just going side by side. But the moment we display it as flex and we place them on top of each other, you see that each one of them take their own space automatically, like that. But the reason it's not affecting these two, don't forget they are inside their own container. No, it doesn't go inside nested. So that's the stuff, and that is why we learn all those things before we start using it. Because when I started using it, you start seeing some things are not working the way that, it's not that they are not working, they are following a specific rules. And once you know that rules, no problem. So here now, what do we need to do? We need to give it gap too. So I'm going to use 1.75 rem like this to just it's too much. 1 rem is okay, which is 16. Yeah, so 1 rem is okay. This one's supposed to go to the center. So what we need to do is the form like this, We have the H2, so text align should be center because to move things to center is just align it to, you don't need flex for that one. So, but this one now, we need to talk to them. So we have this form, what did I even call it? What did I call it? Form control group. So inside the form control group like this, what we can do is to display it as flex column, and this, you see that each one of them is now stacked on top of, and as you can see, they are now getting full too, because automatically they will cover the entire space unless you move them side by side, like that. But there is a lot of gap here. Let me use 2.5 like this. So save is going to have this, and as you can see, the text is not that big, all the labels. So the form group, the label that is there, so the font too should be this, or we can take it up if you want to do the stuff. So we have this. So we need to work on the input, like that. If you look at this input, not looking good. So the form, whatever stuff. So we have the input. So what do we need to do first? We can apply our padding. So padding should be 0.5 like this. Border should be none. I don't want any line. We talked about this before. So we talked about border like that. So well, I think it's too big. 0.25. No, did I increase this screen? Something is wrong. Aha, something is wrong because all these values are not big. So this is actual stuff, but I think let me increase it because I know that something is wrong. It's not supposed to be up there. So let me use 800 like this, so that we have, because of the screen, or let me increase it because of the recording a little bit. I think it's okay like this, because if I don't, it might be too tiny on the screen. So yeah, we have all this. So what do we need to do again? I think that's it. I think this input have rounded edge. So it have rounded edge, and how can we do that? No, we talk about border radius. So 0.25 area, which is 4 pixels. So it's going to create this round edge around the stuff. So what do we need to do? We have this remember me, like that. But look at it. Remember me is not showing it that it is something that is clickable. Look, they are not showing that it is something that this are the and is supposed to show. So when something is clickable, this is and, but now by default they don't show the and. So you can change it, or we do the generic setting at the top. So we select our button like this. What we'll do is cursor is going to be pointer. So which means any of your button is going to show that, but it's not showing it with this one. And the reason I don't want to apply generic is because if I apply generic, it means, or let's just apply generic because it's supposed to be happening with all this one too. So let's just do generic like that. But label, we have limited generic stuff we should be doing with them because you want them to behave in another way. So as you can see now, because they are connected to the input, once you click it, it will trigger the input automatically. So let's work on this button. Nothing much there. Padding, remove the line that is there, change the background to this orange color, like that. So what can we do? So down here, what we apply here is the generic setting. What want to apply here is the specific setting. So if I want to even do it, what I can just do is to do the inside the form, we have the button, because here now we are talking specifically to button that is inside form. Later on, if you have another button outside, it will not apply all these settings. So padding, the border should be none. Border radius, background color is never going to be white. It's going to be orange red, like this. The color is going to be white. So save, and you see that we have the button. But again, look at their own button. Their own button is not. So what can we do here? Don't forget, we have some properties that you can apply on some of these items. The reason it's getting bigger is because it's going to make sure that everything just expand anyhow. So what we can just say here is by giving it, just like the way we do we can do max width. So your maximum width don't go more than this. But which maximum width am I talking about? I don't want it to be more than the content that is inside it. So just like the way all this A used to work, that they expand according to their content. What the browser is doing behind the scene is just known as this max content. So which means your expansion is based on the maximum content you have inside you. So once this one is saved now, it will never so once you increase it, like once you add more text, it will expand. This is one way of solving the problem. Oh, this is not the only way. This is one way of solving the problem when you are using the normal this thing without flex property. But you can use flex property too by using, so all those justify that we normally do on container, you can do it too on the item. But you don't use just because when it says justify content, it's talking about item that is inside. But you know this one is on having, it's not a container, it's item on its own. So what do you do? We have the justify or we have the align self. So justify self, you are talking about that item, not all the item. So you know there are many items inside it, but I'm talking about this particular item. So whatever you are doing there, it will only happen, not content. So we have justify self and you have your align self, and you know you need to call the corresponding one based on what you are trying to do. So which direction are we working with? No, we are working with vertical now, and we need to move something on this side. So we need to align, not justify again, because if you want to justify, you are doing something to align. So when you say align items, you are coming from the container and it will apply to all the items. But when you say align self, one of them should do this stuff. So when you are using flex, that's when this one will work like that. So flex start, because we want it, when you say start, they don't expand, they will stick to the it's because we are on the button now. If we are on the button, so if I want it to happen on the input now, that means I will, so it will now be happening on the input inside this group here. So since I'm talking about buttons, so if you check the HTML now, you see that the button is part of the form, and we display the form as flex. So that means this button is item inside it automatically. So this A2 is item inside it automatically. And that's the crazy thing about all this thing, because as you can see, even that's the reason why the back, you can see that it's getting here. Even this remember me too, because it used to cover the entire space. So this your label is getting here, but this is wrong. You don't want the user to be clicking empty area. So instead of doing that, what you can just do here, come here too, and just see that inside the form there is a label there. So this is going to be align self is going to be flex start like that. So from here now, it's not expanding more than the content that you have it. Or if you don't want to use it, you can use this max with max content. But this one is generic, whether you are dealing with flex or no flex, because it's not every time that your content will always be inside flex. So when you want to limit the width of the box, and it should be based on this content that is inside it, and it's not part of it, so you could just say max content. So it will expand, but it will never expand past the content that is inside it, because maximum is that you need to take. The same thing too needs to happen to this one too. As you can see, it's showing me that I can click here like that. So instead of me, so I can just say form, then we have the A, because both of them are the same. So now to apply it here, it will apply it here like that. It's happening here. And then why again too, if I don't want to do it, I can just remove this one, then come here too, then we have form and we have button. So it will do it for all of them, but all this one will still maintain their structure like that. Again, we need to move all this one to center. That one is simple like that. So we have the footer, and this footer we just need to use our text align. No, we apply it on the footer, and I told you there some of these items they take some of this property from their parent. So once you save it like this, you see that all of them will just apply that same styling automatically. So some of the value, some of the property, once you apply on the parent, everything you have inside it will take it up like that. But some of them don't take the property, so like that. Most of the text property they takes from their parent, like all those items inside we take from parent. So if you want to apply it at once, so all of them without going to each one of them or without selecting them, just apply it on the parent. They will pick it up automatically from it. And as you can see now, we have the stuff. Is there anything that is missing? But this background is even kind of a worst. It's doing a lot of this thing. Well, how can we make this background to be soft? So it's really taking a lot of attention from the content. Look at this side, it's taking attention. So I want to show you a trick that you can always use. So you can mix both the background image and the background color together. That's one property that I script there under this background. So here now, if I just come here and say background color should be this black like this, it will never show because image is always on top of the this thing. But you can mix the two of them together by using different blending modes that you know in Photoshop. If you used to use Photoshop, so we have the background blend mode. This one used to mix both the colors and the background that you apply together are there. One of the most used value here is multiply. That's what I normally use. So it will multiply the colors together like that. But now you see that we are no longer, so the trick here is to reduce the alpha channel of this one. It's there, but this one now, they since you multiply it, the color will come to the front. So in order for you to see the image at the back, what you do now is to reduce the alpha. You know, that's the one that will make sure you see what's at the back. So now if you reduce it, so the reduction is going to be based on whether you want that thing to show clearly or not. So you use, as you can see now, it's more better than what we have because now they are no longer taking attention from the front. So when there's some background you use that they are too sharp, so what do? You overlay it. So once you now overlay it, you now reduce that channel until it looks nice to you there. So the amount you are going to use here is depending on the background image you are using because some of them used to come pop more than this. Some of them they are not really that pop, so you just do it a little bit. Some of them you don't even need to do cover at all. They like click at it now. It looks better than the way we have it before. And as you can see on mobile, but as a problem is because I did not apply padding on the body because by default, no on small screen there is no space, so they will jump back to the edge. So by default, just use one REM so that even if there is no space, give that edge space like that. And as you can see, this is what we have for the mobile like that. But once you get to tablet, then it's bring this one side by side like that and so forth until you have the stuff. So no matter the screen, it will always have this. So from our boring HTML page, so we did this single line, we turn everything back to the way it is. So from this boring page into what you now have here. So with CSS. But later on, you need JavaScript to turn into interactive. So once you click on sign in here, it's supposed to show error here that you did not type anything inside the box. You did not type anything inside. Or if you need to click on this thing, you are supposed to check it and so forth like that. So JavaScript is what you are going to be using for that. So yeah, that is going to be all. I'm going to be sharing this in with you. I'll check my bag down, bring it out, all the design files that we're going to be using as from next class because we're not going to be coming online. All those ones, they have all the necessary material, all the icons, everything we need to use, it will be there. Not that we'll be using text instead of what you are seeing on the design because we don't want to start looking for the material on its own. It's a long journey. So, and in all this side that we are using dummy text, it will not be dummy text. Those files, they already have all the necessary stuff that you need. Your own is just to design to look like the design that is given to you there like that. So that's going to be all.